We have a lot to do, and I'm out here to try to get your support in doing it. And one of the things that I think we have to do is worry about this country of ours. I flew over some of the most beautiful parts of the United States this morning from Jackson Hole. I'm sure that half of our country, particularly those who live east of the Mississippi River, have no idea what we have in this part of the United States. They're beginning to realize it, and more. But all in the east of the Mississippi, they live in too much, in crowded areas. They live along the seashore, which is open to only a few. They live in cities which are becoming more sprawling and more concentrated. And we have here in the western United States a section of the world richer by far, almost than any other. I want them to come out here. And I want the United States to take those measures in this decade which will make the Northwest United States a garden to attract people from all over this country and all over the world. We go to Jackson Hole and Yellowstone, and we're impressed, as all of us are, but what we should remember is that that was due to the work of others, not to us, but to those who made the great fights in the last 50 years. Now, in 1960s, we have to decide what we are going to do. And I believe that there's a good deal that we can do. We have started on a project, a concentrated project of resource development. More watershed projects have been completed in recent years than ever before in our history. Negotiations are underway, which should lead and must lead to the final ratification of the Columbia River Treaty with Canada. It has moved into its last stages, and it is my hope that work will soon be commenced on the Libby Dam project in northwest Montana, which will make this a richer state in which to live. And what you have done here in this section of the United States, I want us to do along our coastline. Only 2% of our extraordinary coastline, the Atlantic, the Gulf Stream, and the Pacific, only 2% is devoted to public use. We have the same fight along our coastlines that we had here in this section of the Northwest 30 and 40 years ago for forests and parks and all the rest. 2%. The fact of the matter is we passed in 1 year in 61 3 parks along our seashores, which is more than had been done in 1 year in any Congress in history. We have let our seashores go to waste. So I urge this generation of Americans, who are the fathers and mothers of 350 million Americans who will live in this country in 2,000 years. And I want those Americans who live here in 2,000 years to feel that those of us who had positions of responsibility in the 60s, that we did our part. And so those of us who inherited from Franklin Roosevelt and Theodore Roosevelt will have something to pass on to those who come and our children many years from now. So I hope that we will harness our rivers. I hope we will reclaim our land. I hope we'll irrigate it. I hope we can provide, through cooperative effort of the farmers and the government, the kind of program which will give them a hope for security. I hope, in other words, that we will take this rich country of ours, given to us by God and by nature, and improve it through science, and find new uses for our natural resources, to make it possible for us to sustain in this country a steadily increasing standard of living, the highest in the world, and based on that powerful fortress to move out around the world in the defense of freedom, as we have done for 18 years and as we must do in the years to come. This is the responsibility which this generation of Americans has been given. I do not share with those who feel that this responsibility should be passed on to others. The fact of the matter is that there are no others who combine our geographic position, our natural wealth, and the determination of our people. And therefore, until such a people someday arise, I think the United States should stay guard at the gate. The fact is, we've done it for 18 years. The fact is the chances for peace may be better now than before. The fact is that our wealth has increased. The fact is there are over 100 countries which are now independent, many of them who owe their independence to the United States. This is the record which this country has written since 1945, and it is upon this great record that I believe we now must build. This sun and this sky which shines over Montana can be, I believe, the kind of inspiration to us all to recognize what a great single country we have. 50 separate states, but one people living here in the United States, building this country and maintaining the watch around the globe. This is the opportunity before us as well as the responsibility. Thank you.